The fire was lit before dawn. February 17th, the year 1600. A man stood bound to an iron stake in the Campo de' Fiori, the Field of Flowers, in the heart of Rome. The crowd had gathered. The priests had prayed. When offered a crucifix at the last moment, he turned his face away. They said his eyes held no fear, only contempt. He burned for 8 minutes. His name was Giordano Bruno, and almost everything he died for has since been proven true. He was born in 1548 in Nola, a small town near Naples, in a kingdom that answered to the Spanish crown and, above all, to the Roman Catholic Church. His father was a soldier. His mother, a woman history barely records. At 15, he entered the Dominican order, the same order that had produced Thomas Aquinas, the same order that ran the Inquisition. He was gifted, dangerously so. His memory was said to be extraordinary, trained through a system of mental techniques he later published and taught to kings. But Bruno could not stay silent. Even as a young friar, he stripped the saints' images from his cell and read Erasmus, banned books, dangerous books. He began to ask questions the church had decided were already answered. He was not yet 25 when the charges first came. Suspected of heresy. He fled. For the next 16 years, Giordano Bruno moved across Europe like a hunted man who refused to hide. Geneva, Paris, London, Wittenberg, Prague, Frankfurt. He lectured at the Sorbonne. He dined with the French king Henri III. He debated Oxford professors and made them look foolish, which they did not forgive. Everywhere he went, he published. Books on memory, books on magic, books on the nature of the universe, books that would get him killed. Because Bruno did not simply accept Copernicus, he exploded him. Nicholas Copernicus had argued, cautiously, that the Earth orbited the Sun. Bruno took that idea and dragged it to its terrifying conclusion. The Sun, he wrote, is not the center of the universe. The Sun is just one star, and there are infinite stars, and around those infinite stars orbit infinite worlds, and on those worlds there may be infinite forms of life. In the 16th century, this was not astronomy. This was blasphemy. The Church had built its entire cosmology, its very claim to power over human souls, on the idea that God created one world, one humanity, one salvation. Bruno's universe had no center, no hierarchy, no single chosen species. His cosmos was radical, not just scientifically, but politically. A universe without a center is a world without a pope. He published these ideas in Italian, not Latin, deliberately. He wanted ordinary people to read them. He wanted the ideas to spread beyond the clergy, beyond the universities. Historian Frances Yates, in her landmark 1964 work Giordano Bruno and the Hermetic Tradition, argued that Bruno was as much a philosopher-magician as a scientist, drawing from ancient Egyptian mysticism, Neoplatonism, and the forbidden tradition of Hermeticism. He was not simply a man ahead of his time. He was a man assembling a completely different vision of reality. He was also, by most accounts, insufferable, arrogant, combative. He insulted professors in public. He mocked theologians by name. He made enemies everywhere he went, including among people who might otherwise have protected him. In London, he clashed bitterly with scholars at Oxford. In Geneva, he was excommunicated. By the Calvinists, not the Catholics. He managed to offend almost every religious faction in Europe. In 1591, after years of wandering, Bruno made the decision that would end his life. He accepted an invitation from a Venetian nobleman named Giovanni Mocenigo, who wanted to learn Bruno's famous memory techniques. Bruno returned to Italy. It was a trap. Mocenigo, either frightened by what Bruno taught him or hoping to curry favor with the Church, denounced him to the Venetian Inquisition. In May 1592, Bruno was arrested. The trial began in Venice. Bruno, for once, seemed willing to compromise. He recanted some positions. He called certain ideas mere philosophical speculation. The Venetian inquisitors were cautious, bureaucratic, slow. But Rome wanted him. The Roman Inquisition formally requested his transfer. Venice, calculating its political interests, handed him over. He sat in the prisons of the Inquisition for 7 years. 7 years of interrogation, isolation, and pressure. The exact charges remain partly sealed. The full trial documents were lost, possibly destroyed, possibly moved to the Vatican secret archives. What historians have reconstructed, through work by Luigi Firpo and others, suggests 8 specific counts of heresy, including his beliefs about infinite worlds, the eternity of the universe, the soul's transmigration, and his denial of the virgin birth. He refused to recant, not partially, not selectively. He refused entirely. In January 1600, Pope Clement VIII personally reviewed the case and ordered Bruno to be handed over to secular authorities for punishment, the Church's careful legal way of ensuring it did not officially execute anyone. On February 8th, the sentence was read aloud. Bruno reportedly told his judges, "Perhaps you pronounce this sentence against me with greater fear than I receive it." 10 days later, he burned. The Campo de' Fiori today holds a bronze statue of Bruno, erected in 1889 over the fierce objection of the Vatican. He stands hooded, facing the direction of St. Peter's Basilica. Tourists photograph him between bites of gelato. Most do not know his name. Most do not know what he said, or why it mattered, or what it cost him. What he said was this: the universe is infinite. The stars are suns. Other worlds exist. The cosmos has no privileged center. These ideas, once cause for execution, are now the opening paragraphs of any introductory astronomy course. NASA's Kepler mission alone has confirmed thousands of exoplanets. The plurality of worlds Bruno died defending is no longer heresy. It is settled science. But here is the part the textbooks tend to soften. Bruno was not burned for astronomy. The Church in 1600 did not execute people for scientific disagreement alone. He was burned because his cosmology was inseparable from his theology, and his theology dissolved the foundations of institutional Christianity. He denied the Trinity. He denied the Incarnation. He believed in a living, infinite God that needed no church, no pope, no intermediary. The universe itself was divine. Everywhere. In everything. That could not stand. Not in 1600. Not in Rome. Not with the Council of Trent freshly concluded and the Counter-Reformation in full force. Giordano Bruno was not a martyr for science. He was a martyr for the idea that the universe is too large, too infinite, too alive to be owned by any single institution. And so they lit the fire before dawn, in the Field of Flowers, in the year 1600. A man turned his face away from the crucifix. His eyes, witnesses said, showed no fear. He had looked out at an infinite universe and refused to make it smaller just to save himself. The fire took 8 minutes. The universe he described is still expanding.